Seamilk, where are we?
We're in Palaburger, which is a fake KFC Burger King hybrid that has some of the worst beef I've ever had in my life.
I don't think that was beef, dude.
That wasn't beef.
This is our massacre of nonsense that we ate. Basically, this is a rip-off of Burger King, right?
Yep. You find a lot of these in small towns.
I mean, you could tell because, you know, the logo's similar, even the font they use and the packaging and stuff, it's pretty much the same as the Burger King in China.
It is. It really is. And it's absolutely terrible, to be honest.
Yeah. It wasn't good. So, we're going to be talking about Chinese wives.
Exactly. I mean, fake hamburgers remind me of that topic.
Yeah, and just straight off the bat, we're not going to be disrespectful here. We don't think of women as commodities.
Right.
All right, but the fact is we're both married to Chinese women, and we get a lot of questions about people who are thinking about trying to come here and find a wife or a girlfriend, and so we thought we'd answer it in this video.
Join us for some tips and tricks. Just joking. But we're going to tell you about our experiences that we've had here in China.
Cool. All right, let's hit the road. Okay, so you parked over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I parked out there.
Yeah.
So go our separate ways and meet you on the road.
So this is the last leg of our journey.
Yeah, we're halfway back to Huizhou. We're based. You know, that's our home base for ADV China.
Yeah.
Man, there's just so many flies here.
I know. I don't get it.
Every seat of every
this
bike.
guy has a Star Wars shirt, but it says Stop Wars.
Stop Wars. That's cool. I see that. Yeah. That's actually quite clever.
It is. I highly doubt he knows what it means.
Oh no. He probably thinks it is Star Wars.
Come on, go ahead, go. Quit wasting my time, thank you. Man, it's so noisy here.
I know, that's China. I think we mentioned that in a recent episode, didn't we?
We certainly did.
If you like cigarette butts and noise and thin girls.
All right. Okay, so we're talking about Chinese wives, or finding a Chinese wife? Chinese wives.
So. I think let's first of all go through very quick, brief stories on how we found our own Chinese wives. You know, gotta collect them all, Pokemon style.
Pokemon. Mine can just be a link to how I met my Chinese wife.
Oh, you've done that. I should probably do a video about that.
I'll do a 30-second.
Do a very quick one. Let's see it. Speed version. Go.
2 weeks into China. Actually, I want to preface this. I never, ever planned on marrying a Chinese woman. It was never a goal of mine. I was never into Asian women. I almost said into yellow women because I wanted to say yellow fever.
Yeah.
I never had those traits, but sometimes when you meet a person and it just works out, you know. So a lot of people look at this from a racial perspective, and it's just not the case.
No.
I met a nice girl that I really fell in love with, and that's life, you know.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I never had any Asian girlfriends or anything in the past. Anyway, I met her 2 weeks into my first year in China. I met her at a supermarket, and we exchanged information. She wouldn't give me her cell phone number.
Yep.
But back then, Facebook was unblocked, so she gave me her name, and I ended up looking her up, and seven years later, we're married.
It's awesome,
dude.
Yeah, well, you know, I've had a Hong Kong wife.
Okay.
Who's Chinese too, because she's actually originally from Fujian.
That's right.
And now I have another Chinese wife, number 2. Everyone says I'm such a fraud because I've had 2 Chinese wives or something. I mean, okay, same as you. I never intended to marry a Chinese wife. That was never my thing. What's going on here? I thought this was a circle.
It is.
So we have to go to the petrol station anyway.
Yeah,
Let's just go. So basically, you know, I was just working and living here, and you know, there aren't that many expats around here. The women expats that are here are generally not my type anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of did the whole thing, got into a relationship, and kind of got married. The first one was a mistake. I've done a whole video about that. I'll link to that here.
This line is too long.
It is. But when's the next petrol station? It's quite far, eh?
Is it?
Yeah. But the second one, you know, I absolutely fell head over heels, you know, and it wasn't something I expected. You know, that my current wife, I'm absolutely still am fully in love with her. She's an amazing woman, like in every sense of the word. So, you know, it's just, like you said, I didn't go out to find a Chinese wife. I just live here and work here, and, you know, you meet people, and that's how it goes.
Right. Dude, this is going to take forever.
What, do you want to push and run out over there somewhere?
There will be another gas station.
Alright, if we run out, it's on you.
Anyway, I just want some motion here, guys. Anyway, lovely tales about how we met our Chinese wives, but why are we getting into this topic? There's a very specific reason. And that's because of our subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, look, our subscribers, a lot of them, I think a lot of the reason why people watch my videos, and I'm not going to joke, is because they are already in the process of talking to a Chinese woman on like a dating site or something, and they're curious and interested to find out more about China. Because I get a lot of questions related to that, so I just sort of surmise that's what's going on.
Right.
And I also have, of course, people that are newly married or are newly in a relationship with a Chinese woman, and they're 90% of my audience are men, so I can't say it this way around. So, and then they just basically want to find out more about, Chinese women and China and the attitudes and that kind of thing. So they watch my videos. So I get a lot of questions from people, and they keep asking me, like, can I get a Chinese girlfriend? Is it easy for me to come and find a Chinese girlfriend? Or, what should I look for, etc., etc. So I think since we both have lived here for so long, we can give some people some advice. If you are thinking about, taking a relationship further with a Chinese girl, what kind of things you should look for, and things that you shouldn't be delusional about, etc.
Okay.
So you go ahead. Let's make a list.
I'll start off with this, and this might break some hearts, but if you're trying to come over here to specifically meet a Chinese girl because you don't like women from your home countries, then just click off right now. Seriously, like, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't be going to a place to find a woman of a certain race. That's just stupid.
Yeah, you need to find a woman of a certain type that agrees with you, right?
Right. And if you come over here with a preconceived notion that Chinese women are going to be submissive and they respect a man and let him do what he wants, right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Dude,
however, I'm going to interject quickly and say that Chinese women, the Chinese culture is more gender role orientated.
For sure.
So, the women here will be more of your sort of 1950s housewife, wanting to cook and clean and all that kind of thing. But man, they're the master of the house. They will, like, overtake your life. So there's pluses and minuses. Anyway, continue.
What I was saying is that if you find a woman that fits that role, right? That there's a gas station.
Oh yeah.
That fits that role that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna say that your relationship's probably not gonna work out, because that's gonna be a super traditional woman, right?
Yeah.
And 前面吗？这里哈。95可以。
Yeah, 95。
加吗？
一起的。一起加吗？一起。
对。So what I was saying, 就是我知道。
可以啊。
I almost did my rude wave and just put it in. Anyway, they're going to be super traditional woman with probably that is less apt to be able to understand your cultural values.
Yes.
So you can't expect her to bend over backwards. She's going to expect you to act like a Chinese guy. She's going to expect you to act like a Chinese guy, right?
Yeah, you're going to have to pay for everything.
Right.
I mean, you're also going to have to...
You better have money.
Yeah, now you're going to have to, like, take care of her family and stuff too.
Right.
There's all sorts of weird things that you don't know what you're getting into. You just don't understand.
So my advice would be to find, if you are, again, I hate using this term, but find a girl. But if you're going to be in a relationship with a Chinese girl, I think it's imperative that she was at least Western educated or has Western sensibilities to be able to understand you and your cultural values and what's important to you.
Yes, because there is a thing in China where they don't seem to care about other people's culture. They're very, what's the word? Like,
culturally insensitive.
Yeah, culturally insensitive is the correct word, because it's like either their way or the highway, always.
Yep.
In China, it's like, this is the way we do it. And you'll be like, yeah, but I don't do it that way. And they're like, so?
Huh?
They're like, drink hot water. And you're like, no, I don't want to drink hot water. It's like, well, you can't, like, cold water's bad for your health. Drink hot water.
You're not going to win that argument.
Eat more. That kind of,
right.
Whatever. So, okay. So what you're saying is,
I'm saying you're going to run into hurdles, and I hate to say this, and Chinese people use this against Westerners all the time, but they're like, whenever there's an intercultural relationship and they see these older men coming after Chinese girls and they get married quickly, they usually end up in divorce, and I got to take their side on that one. That's absolutely the truth.
Okay, yeah, there are exceptions, all right? Like, okay, I got a friend, and everybody knows I got a very good friend in America, and he got married to a Chinese woman, and they're, you know, living together in America right now.
Right.
And they do face a lot of challenges, especially due to the language barrier. And this is something I have to give advice to everybody is, if you're going to be starting a relationship with someone, you've got to be able to speak the language, you know? It's just, it's kind of absurd not to be able to speak the other person's language. I mean, yeah, you can argue, oh, you know, love, the language of love, you don't need, yeah, that kind of nonsense.
That doesn't mean anything.
No, in the honeymoon phase, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not caring about, you know, real issues.
Right.
But it's really difficult. But the thing is, I'm going to give him props because he sticks through it. He deals with all her cultural insensitivities in a very humorous way. Like he asked me to make a sign for him that in Chinese that he can hold up every time she nags him. That basically says, if you speak to me nicely, I'll listen to you, but otherwise I don't understand you. But you know, he's such a nice guy, and you know, he does love his wife, and she does love him, and they've managed to kind of work it out. So I'm gonna say that it's not always the case, like what you said.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put a hell of a lot of work, and it does take a hell of a lot of work into a cross-cultural relationship, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't have to be just about China. This could be just interracial marriages in general.
Yeah.
But I want to say this, like, the amount of difficulties that I've had with a Western-educated woman that has a master's degree, culturally, has never been her issue, and that's why I say there's two hurdles. Number one is to get over her kind of cultural barriers or problems that she might have with your culture, and number two is to deal with her family. I never had to deal with the first one. Vivi's awesome. She's super open-minded. She's she has Western sensibilities, but guess what? I had a hell of a time dealing with her family.
Oh yeah.
That's been 7 years of torture, man.
Yeah,
because they won't break. They won't bend, dude. They are thoroughly Chinese, and they have no time for how I was brought up, my values, my wishes for my own child.
Oh yeah.
And our relationship in general. So that's another thing to consider. I mean, you're gonna have to. I mean, I hear a lot of people are like, "Well, my family's super cool with me." Well, a lot of times they're not.
No.
So be careful.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually in a very good position, which I mentioned before, and that's because my wife, you know, is like me, previously divorced, and that's changed the entire dynamic. So there isn't that huge amount of pressure that's normally there.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are still family and cultural responsibilities. Like, you know, Chinese New Year, I had to go and pay out bloody hongbao, you know.
Me too.
It's like, dude, I don't want to give 10,000 RMBs worth of my hard-earned money to some random stranger kids and stuff. You know?
Better be ready to do that.
Yeah. You know, there's things like that, you know, you just have to start accepting.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, you can't be selfish. You can't be like, well, I don't do that in my culture, so I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Okay? But on the other hand, you have to put your foot down as well and say, listen, I don't do that in my culture, so I'm not going to do it. You know,
for sure.
There has to be a balance.
Yeah.
And find a way to keep each other happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's really the key, is if you're going to have a Chinese wife or even a Chinese girlfriend, learn the balance. You know, it's give and take. But you're going to have to teach your Chinese spouse, you know, that there is another culture other than Chinese culture. You know, you're going to have to be like pretty adamant, because they've got all their family here, especially if you're living here. You know, the society around them is all Chinese, and so they're going to kind of expect you to just go along with their culture all the time. Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
I saw some documentaries on YouTube actually about some guys that would meet Chinese girls online and get married.
Yeah,
they're pretty heartbreaking, dude. They're pretty freaking heartbreaking, because you do see how do you say, kind of like two big strong heads like butting heads with each other, because like you said, a lot of Chinese people think that China is the center of the world, basically. So do Americans. And that's the problem, is that the American guy is basically like, why don't you do it this way? Why do you cook it like this? And the Chinese woman's like, why do you not take off your shoes in the house? And blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a nightmare to watch, you know? And then compound that with what you said, the language barrier. It's just like, wow, there's a lot you got to pay attention to. And it's not, I think it's not this oriental dream that you might have about finding this like subservient Asian woman.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Oh no, Chinese women are incredibly strong. That's one thing you got to know.
Right.
You know, like they run the household, they run the finances.
Absolutely.
I don't let that happen with me. Like, I do put my foot down on that. Like, I do pay for everything. I pay rent. I pay for every time we go out to eat, every time we go on holiday. Everything's on me, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But my bank account's my bank account, you know, and that's the way it stays. But you know, you'll find that Chinese women immediately try to get their claws into all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'd kind of like to just end my point with, you know, I don't know if it's advice or not, but I mean, at least try, if you're gonna come to mainland China, to find a girl that at least has been abroad, and try to find a girl that speaks English. It's really, really important. It's pretty much as simple as that, because you'll be able to judge her character before you get in too deep.
Absolutely. There's another advice I have for both the Western guys and the Chinese girls, because there are a lot of Chinese girls who go after foreigners, and I mean,
for sure,
it does actually take a lot. You got to realize it takes quite a lot for a traditional Chinese girl to actually get into a relationship with a foreigner.
Oh yeah.
You know, because the family pressure is so heavy. I mean, a lot of Chinese girls, if you date them, they don't want to introduce you to their family.
Yeah.
Because it's too embarrassing for them, or it's too difficult for them.
A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah. You know, so there's all this kind of crap going on. But if you're a Chinese girl looking for a foreign guy, realize that if you want a foreign experience, you're going to have to change your mind a little bit, because you're going to have a foreign experience, right?
Yes, yes.
And you have to learn to bend. If you want to be traditional Chinese cultural, like for the rest of your life, then marry a traditional Chinese guy.
Yeah.
And vice versa. If you're a Westerner and you're coming like overseas to find an Asian wife, or if you, like us, don't go out finding an Asian wife, but you just happen to have one because they're the person you fell in love with, be prepared to bend over for their side as well. It's like, you know what? It is their culture. You're marrying someone from a different culture. You've got to accept all the quirks and the other nonsense, just as long as they don't cross the line, you know?
Right.
So I guess
Totally
that's
agree.
it. I mean, anything you'd like to say to our subscribers before we sign off?
Whether you're a creepy sexpat that trolls forums to find Asian women because you think it's going to fulfill your fantasy, or you're a normal person that just likes people for who they are and gets, you know, get into balanced and healthy relationships, I hope that you like the video, and I hope you click the like button and also comment and subscribe.
Yeah, and I'd like to absolutely say here that these are, again, sweeping generalizations.
For sure, for sure, come on.
Like, a lot of the subscribers that have contacted me, that have Chinese wives, etc., and even some of the people I stayed with when I was in America, they're doing awesome. They've got such good relationships with their Chinese wives or girlfriends, and you know, also, I'm not just saying like Western guys with Chinese girls. There are Chinese guys with Western girls I met on my trip. There are, you know, Chinese, Western women with Chinese husbands and things like that. I did meet them on the, although that's rare, I did meet them on my trip, and people are making it work. So it's just something that you've got to be prepared to put a lot of work into, and if you do, it's very fulfilling. Right. I think it's awesome. I love seeing this happen. And it's quite fascinating to explore a different culture and see how things are done, and scratch your head at the stupid stuff and say, you're a moron if you think that's the way things should be. Right. or even look at your own culture and be like, yeah, why do we do that? Yeah, you know? Like, that's stupid, yeah. So, yeah, it's give and take. It's awesome. Certainly opens your eyes, and you've got to have an open mind. So, yeah, that's it, guys. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. We love you all the same, and can't wait to see you in the next one. So, stay awesome.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind